Hello, Miss Emma. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, Darla, and it's so lovely to see you here today.
Oh, you too. Thank you for being on the call with us. It's. I know this is something that we've been trying to do for a while now, and so I'm so excited that we've actually been able to connect because we've been talking for a little while,
We
and
have.
so it's nice to finally connect with you and see you face to face.
Yeah, exactly. Real faces, real people.
Exactly. So Emma has graciously come online with us today to talk a little bit about what she does and all the wonderful things that she has to offer. And so, Emma, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure, absolutely, Darla. Well, for the last 6 years, I've been working online, and it started when my daughter, my third child, was born. And by this stage, after having a full time career prior to having kids, I was really starting to get a little bit brain bored. I was kind of ready for a new challenge and something new. So, like yourself, Darla, I've always been quite creative. So, I started one of the entrepreneurs that I followed online, I started a personalised chocolate wrapping business, which became very popular in the UK. And I did that with a business partner for nearly 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got me onto the sort of online internet marketing, because I kind of found all the information I could find online and followed all the people that you follow, and started learning about building websites. And also at that time, back in 2008, 2009, I started using Twitter a lot, and obviously Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Facebook pages came along, and the business took off from there using social media. So, and then literally, my business partner's children were a little bit older, and they were going through their exams. And after about nearly 4 years, we decided to close that business. But just prior to that, I'd realised there's a real kind of niche for mums. A lot of the businesses that we met up with at various wedding fairs and things like that, they were saying, oh, how do you do this, Twitter? How do you do that? So I created a business directory for mums, and I've been running that now for nearly 4 years. So altogether, sort of 6, 7 years online, and I've learned so much along the way, and I love working online. So I took it one step further though. So like last April, I've been following one of my gurus, Mr. Ed Dale, who's an Australian internet marketer, and
Okay.
that's how I first got into online marketing and internet marketing. I actually followed his challenge course that he put out every year. And he'd been talking about digital magazines and the way that mobile apps and digital apps for magazines were going to really take off over the next few years. And 2 years ago, he set up a very good platform. And I'd been following this, and I thought, do you know what? This is something I'd really like to do. So, again, though, I guess, having had a business partner in the past and then had my own sole business, I kind of looked and talked to a number of different people at the time, and I talked to a craft friend of mine and said, how about having a craft magazine? And she, because it was such a new idea, she wasn't quite ready to go down that route. So long story short, in the end, I decided to go with what I knew, which was obviously working with the business mums, and create a digital magazine for business women. And that's what I did. So I started the magazine in September last year, and it finally launched. Well, finally, it took me 3 weeks. I'd been training and doing all the sort of videos and tutorials on the course, so I very quickly put it together. But it felt like quite a while that I'd had that idea sort of going through the back of my head. So from April to October it actually launched. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing now alongside my other business. And I love it because it's really creative, because obviously putting a magazine together and publishing that, and connecting with like-minded business women like your good self. So it's been a really fun journey, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now.
Oh, you're doing such a great job at it. Just I felt blessed to be a part of your last magazine, and and it was so exciting to see how you market it, and you are fabulous on Twitter. You killed on Twitter. So
Yeah.
yeah. So you could all that good training has come to use, and now it all kind of puts the puzzle pieces together. But yeah, your magazine is fabulous, and so I'll definitely be having all that information in the video and or in our blogcast too, so people can link on there and go and check it out, because they really should, if they're a woman in business, and many of my audience are female. So yeah, so they'll come check it out, I'm sure.
Excellent. Well, we're always open to new contributors too. So obviously, if anyone's listening or watching and they want to come and talk about putting their own article in the magazine, then just send me an email. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
It is a creative platform, because ultimately nowadays we all have our mobile devices with us virtually 24/7, 365 days a year, unless we forget them or leave them somewhere. But they're always with us, and this is what's so cool about the digital app, because it's going to be on the phone or on the iPad. In fact, later this year it'll be coming out on Kindle, so it's Android and Apple iOS based at the moment. So it's just a new way of marketing, and I guess you could think of it as a big lead list as well, because obviously you're collecting information and emails from Apple as well. So. Yeah.
Well, that's very important. For people to understand, to have a lead list, and but I think it's really interesting too how you're doing things online, because I'm a magazine girl. I love to go to the bookstore. I love to get books. I like the tangible holding it. But I've been converting, with Kindle and everything else, to have all ebooks, and that's all I create now are ebooks. And so I can see where it's just going more digital. So you're right there in the right place, and I think at the right time. So that's awesome. So now
I'm hoping, obviously we'll be promoting all the other lovely business women inside it. So it's a great opportunity for them to get involved as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you started out with the cookie, with doing the candy.
Yeah, the chocolate wrappers, which in fact in America has been a really big business for a very long time. And one of our UK entrepreneurs, Mr. Nigel Bottrell, who I've met, and I did a little bit of marketing work with him at one point, basically put together this package where you could use your creative skills and create graphic wrappers for the chocolate bars. So I did that for 4 years with my business partner Lily at the time, and we really, really enjoyed it and learned an awful lot from it. But unfortunately it was at the height of when we just went into recession, so it was very difficult. And what was happening is the prices of the chocolate in the UK were going up a lot, and people were not wanting to pay as much. So what actually happened is we did make money out of the business, we did very well, but we were spending a lot of time away from our families at the weekends, at the wedding season, which was always kind of, in fact, almost year round, going out and promoting the chocolate bars and the wrappers and personalisation. So that kind of took us away from what we'd originally thought we were creating, an income and a business, so we could spend more time with the children and be around. So it had to go. And that's part of one thing of becoming entrepreneurial. You have to recognise that sometimes things just don't work, and how much you love them and you really attract, you're passionate about what you're creating, producing, it isn't going to provide you with either the income or perhaps it's taking up too much of your time. So you've got to kind of recognise that and say, right, it's time to take what we've learned and move on.
Absolutely. And I don't know, to the last 6 months or so I've been doing interviews with other people that are like us. I have not met one person who has not done that, and I think that's part of the process. It's part of what we have to do, and I know I've had to do it myself, and it is hard. It's hard to walk away from that, but you have to look at the bigger picture. And I think that's the one thing that's so wonderful about having, especially any type of an online business or a presence, that it affords you a little more flexibility. It's a lot of hard work, and you still have to divide your time up. But for me and for us being busy moms, I wanted to be able to spend time with my family. That's the reason why I did this, right? So, and I was finding myself, spending less and less time with my family. So I had to make that tough call too. I get it. Yeah, that's a tough one. But I know that, for you, let me ask you this. Would you say that, what is the percentage of time you spend marketing any of your products, would you suggest for people?
For me, my sort of, over a period of a month, basically, I would have maybe a week where I'm in what I call production mode. So I am literally pulling all the articles together, creating the PDF which gets uploaded to the Apple system and Android, etc. And it's all about creation. And inside of that period, I have a part of it that at some point I hope to outsource because I really don't like it. It's very boring when I get to have to add all the links and things. That's the bit I'm not so keen on. But whilst that's happening, I still have the marketing going on because I've got to the point where I have a part-time VA who actually helps me with the social media marketing. So a lot of it's been set up so it can be carrying on, being automated as we go along. And then the second week after the magazine's gone live, the magazine at any rate, I'm not talking about my mum's site, which is another side issue, but for the magazine, the second week then is all about marketing because the magazine comes out and it's continually marketing the magazine and getting engagement up and, you know, getting people to download it ultimately so that more people get to see what people are writing about. Right. The last 2 weeks of the month, or they could be the first 2 weeks, whichever way you start, are all about ongoing marketing. So I would say, you know, they say 80%. I'm just trying to think out loud really, but 2 weeks definitely is marketing, putting in more articles, more information, planning ahead for further things that are going to go on with the business. So I would say at least it's got to be 70-75% is marketing, and then the rest of it is production and you know, obviously things like that. So yeah,
and that's good to know because I know years ago I had taken some online art business courses. This was, you know, years ago, and even then the person that I had taken the course with had said 50% of your time needs to be marketing, and I'm going, wow, that's a lot of time because as creatives, I mean, a lot of the people that I work with are, you know, they are truly like they're artists and you know, they're artisans and stuff, and they like to spend time in the studio. And if you create exactly, and so either you have to decide if that's what you want to do, then you have to either hire someone who can help you do your marketing for you, or you go to a gallery, or you have to decide. And if you're in business to make money, then you have to spend a good chunk of your time marketing. And so I appreciate you sharing that because I've always been telling them at least 50%, and I know that that's a stretch. But I think it's great to hear from someone else other than me. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah. So would you, now that you kind of have an idea, I now that I know that how creative you are, and you have to be creative to do this, I think one, to be an entrepreneur, and two, to put together two complete magazines like you're doing. That's fabulous. But can you give a couple of tips for us, for the audience, for my community? Would you mind sharing?
For marketing or
just anything, as far as building your business online, maybe? Because
I think certainly for building your business online, you need to have a plan, and as soon as you can afford to, you need to start investing in yourself. And I've been doing that continually, probably for about 6 years, because I do love to learn, and my businesses were small, so I didn't have somebody that was paying all the bills along the way. So I've reinvested what I've earned back into my businesses, and my virtual assistant. Obviously, as soon as I could, 2 years or so ago, maybe a bit longer than that now, I've been having a part-time VA to help me with some of it. So definitely reinvest some of the money. If you're creating a business because you just want money, look at it quite hardly, because for most small business owners, I think there is such a steep learning curve. You've got to first of all manage your website and your presence online, and there are certain tools that you may want to pay out for that are going to help you with your social media. Like, for example, for me, it's only a very small amount, but you've got your Hootsuite account, and I also have a Friends Plus Me account, and then I've also invested, currently in 3 membership courses, so I'm paying out 3 times a month for different courses, and lots of other little bits come up, your hosting and your domain. So you have a certain amount of money each month that's going to go to that kind of training and investment, and setting up your business. So so it depends. If you're just doing it for money, then you probably are to be quite blunt, better off getting a job down in a shop and, taking your money and saying thanks very much and I'll go and spend it on the kids' clothes. But, if you're doing it because you feel passionate about something that you want to create, whether it's creating a digital magazine or creating some art products or creating some online products, then you need to, think about that.
Yeah, that's so true. That's you. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's funny because I'm like you. I'm a learner. I love to learn, and I love to share and things like that. And that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And but it's I think it's interesting because a lot of I want to know what your thoughts are on this. Is that a lot of creatives they'll want to like learn something to help with their art or to further things on, but they don't. I'm curious to find out, and I'd love to hear the comments if people would love to share in the comment section below our video. But are they investing in growing learning their studies, like whatever their field of study is, or are they learning in other skills that maybe they're weaker in, or they need to understand more the business side or the marketing side of things? Because I know that it's easier to go take another course to learn how to do a skill in your art field, but maybe not necessarily in the business side of things. And so that's what I've really focused a lot of my attention in, and learning how to grow online too, because I really see that there's so much opportunity online. So that's my focus too.
Yeah, for any business, online is the way to go and has been for some time now. And I guess the thing is, if people want to take a course and further their skills, whether it is something in the art line, that's great. And if they're earning enough money, then they can outsource the bits they don't like. And that's what's also really important, if there are bits you don't like, to get rid of them and get someone else to do them for you, which is what I've been doing. And, it's a balance of training that person and knowing that you have the right person doing the right bit of the job for you and that you can trust them to do it well. And I think there's that perfectionist in all of us, because we don't like to let go of things, and we like to hold on to stuff and try and do as much as we can. And I think that's also, we're very guilty of that as women, because as women we are so used to juggling that it's second nature. We don't even realise we're probably doing it. So
you're so right there. And it's funny because then you don't realize what time it is, and it's dinner time and you have to get dinner on the table and your kids are hungry.
yeah, I get that a lot, I must admit, because I tend to work in the daytime when the kids are at school, but when they get back from school I have an hour or so. I think Mike can do a little bit more work. I've got something I want to finish, and then before you know it, the dinner isn't ready. So yeah.
Yes, I can relate to that one a lot. So I want to ask you. Thanks for sharing those tips. I think those are extremely important. So, and I'll make sure I have all this listed too. So, this is another question for you. Okay.
Yeah.
What has been your strategy for creating some visibility in your marketing to market your business or yourself? Do you have any strategies that you put in place?
Definitely. I do have strategies. I tend to post onto Google Plus first now, and I have been doing that for about a year or so now, for both of my businesses, and that's definitely helping with the ranking. And with social media, there are so many different sites. It is quite difficult. You have to look at the type of business you have and work out exactly which social site is going to get you the best visibility. So for me, with the magazine, I found that it's quite a mixture. I'm getting some traffic definitely from Google, obviously, and Facebook, although obviously you have to look at Facebook ads to really get more engagement there now. But Twitter, my Twitter account for my new business is still under 1,000 people, but it's building, so that's where I'm focusing at the moment as well. And I love Pinterest. I was going to say Pinstagram. That would be a good one, wouldn't it? That would be next. There'd be a new one, combo one. But Pinterest, because I'm visual. I am a visual learner, and I love looking at all the different things there. So I tend to save that for the weekend when I'm feeling like I want to chill. I'll go and have a little look on there. Instagram, I do have a personal account, but I haven't been using that for business right now because I don't have enough time or resources to kind of fully use that effectively. So, but for strategies, it's look at a couple. I would pick 2 social media sites to start with. One would definitely be, for me, would be Twitter. and then I will probably go for Google Plus if I was starting out from scratch. And but it may depend on your market.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because I just did launched a course, and it's all about your ideal client, and you kind of have to be where they are too, but you need to know who they are first, too. So I really watch my Google Analytics to find out where they are, and it's always Pinterest and Facebook, and now I am getting a lot with Google Plus, because I am spending time there, and it's a neat little platform. I like it. I like working on it, and so I am trying to do more with that. But I'm like you. I'm a Pinterest girl too. I love Pinterest.
I was going to say, I would say for your kind of business, definitely Pinterest and Facebook, because they are more visual. You can put more images on, and
yeah. So and I do the same thing. I'm playing around with Instagram. I like Instagram, and actually I started doing a couple of little videos, just little clips and stuff, and I'll upload those to Facebook and stuff. So it's fun. I love the fact that it intertwines between the two. But yeah, so I think that's something is just is really honing in, because you can't be everywhere and do it all well unless you have an assistant who can help you,
or a team of people that cover all of that side of it.
Yeah. Do you have any special tips? Like, okay, this is a shameless personal question with Twitter. Do you have any? Because I'm getting on there, and I'm learning and stuff, and I'm starting to engage. Are there any tricks on that? Because I think
for me, because I've used Hootsuite now for about 3 years, I love that platform now. Whether you have or don't have a platform like that, but if you don't, then I mean there are others. There's a few different systems, but for me it's honing down what people are saying. So by using a hashtag, you can add that hashtag into a column and follow what's going on in that column, and then obviously putting people onto lists a lot. So I use lists a lot, and I've recently just set up I'm going to do some Twitter advertising for the business, because I've set up, you can set up a pixel and track your Twitter audience, a bit like you can on Facebook ads. So that's something that's quite new. So it's kind of following, but what I think you have to also do is not spend the whole time there all day, else you never get anything done. So I have a Hootsuite on my desktop, which I minimise, and then I'll open it maybe during the day while I'm working 3 times. So I'll do like first thing in the morning, middle of the day, later in the day, and then as the day progresses, when I'm probably resorting to my phone or sitting with an iPad or something, then I'll just have a little look. But it's really just making sure that you always reply to people and try and share as much. I think that's how you grow your Twitter account, by just sharing more of people's posts, not just look at me, I'm talking, so it's just engaging and sharing, and then that grows, and just honing down on the hashtags that the people you're trying to connect with in your niche, where they are. So just following those and going from there.
That's great. That's great, valuable, wonderful information, because I know I'm starting to get some followers, and I think honestly it's from you, because I know because you are so good at promoting me and promoting other people that are our friends and stuff, and I think that kind of follows true for almost all the platforms. The more you share, the more you help other people. It does come back to you. So I think that's great. That thank you for sharing that. So let me ask you this: has there been any challenging moments in your career or your life that you'd like to share?
Definitely some very challenging moments. Yeah, I mean we're all human. We all have families. We all have personal things that get in the way. So I've had when I first started creating the Mum's Business Directory, that was a problem, because my eldest son had a problem with school, and he really didn't cope very well, and he had a lot of time off and really suffered with the school system. So at that time I was just about ready to start launching my business. I was in the very sort of pre-launch stages of getting that one out, and I'd been working for months and months creating this directory, which at the time there were very few around, so it was a really new kind of thing 4 years ago. So I was clinging onto the walls then, but that's what kept me going, my business, because I think if I hadn't have had that to focus on, to take me away from the problems, the home problems, then I don't think I'd have made it. I think I would have, given up. So I'm a very determined person, and I love what I do, and I think that follows through for most people in this kind of business. But sometimes things just push you over the edge.
Yeah.
And then, I've had downsides where I've spent a lot of time creating a social media membership site which didn't take off, and you think, oh, I spent all that time doing that, but if it had taken off and I'd ended up with maybe a couple of people on board, which is what often is the case, you go through all the learning process and setting everything up and setting the webinars up and doing all those kind of things, and then it doesn't take off, I may not be doing what I'm doing now. So I'm actually quite grateful that I learned from that experience of building a membership site and putting products together and doing all of that sort of stuff. But then this magazine opportunity came up, which perhaps was meant to be, and that's where I then sort of went off in that direction. So,
Yeah, exactly.
I think you can't look back. You just got to look forward and not worry about what's happened, because it's happened, and, just take those experiences, grow from them.
Exactly. You hit it on the head. I totally agree with you there, because that's something that, we've all had our challenges and stuff, and you think, okay, there's a reason for this, and you just have to take what you learn from it and move on. So that's awesome. So do you have any great advice or any best advice that you'd like to share for someone who wants to be a creative or an entrepreneur and they want to grow their business either on or offline? Is there any suggestions that you would share?
Never give up is my biggest one.
Perfect.
You have really bad days. Sometimes you think, oh, I can't, why am I doing this? At the end of the day, I would definitely say create a good circle of business friends and people that you admire and people that you get on with and connect with, so that when you have your low moments, you've got people there to support one another. So that would be, don't do it alone. Don't think you're the only person that doesn't, this is happening to, and it can't possibly, everyone else is looking rosy tinted and, it's all looking lovely, and, it's not, it's all about hard work. It's all about picking yourself up sometimes when things don't work out, and, just get, find yourself some buddies and motivate each other.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. That's it. I remember when I first started the whole online thing, and I didn't really know anybody, but I kept thinking, I know that these are my people. And because I felt like kind of a lost fish, I wasn't in the right pond. and so I started connecting and using like Facebook groups and the membership groups and stuff. And that's something too, if you start to really invest in yourself and you find online groups of people, you'll find people that are like you and you want to build and want to connect, and that makes a big difference. And so I don't feel like I'm alone, even though I typically work by myself, but I never feel like I'm alone, because I can always pop open Facebook or hit Skype and know that I can catch up with someone. So that's very, very true. So I wanted to ask you this, and I want to give you a few minutes to think about this. And if you don't have one, you can send it to me later. Is a quote. I'm a quote girl. I love quotes, and I think there was actually a quote that I just talked about. It was about even every experience is a reason to learn, and a reason to be better, a reason to do better. And I love quotes. So I didn't know if you happen to have a great quote.
I don't off the top of my head, to be honest, Darla. I'm terrible. This sounds crazy, but I love talking, and I can, articulate myself pretty well most of the time, but I actually dislike actual physical writing. So I love the thoughts of quotes, and I've got a whole pile that I keep for like tweeting out and whatever, but I don't write them down, so I don't have one to hand at the moment. I know some people would have them right in front of their computer screen,
Oh,
but
no. Yeah, I've actually had people they've had bulletin boards and like inspiration boards behind them, and and they'll say, let me just turn around and find one over here. So yes,
I need to do that, because I've recently moved into this office, and although it's looking relatively pretty, in front of me I have a very, very big wall, and I think I need to put some up there. So I don't have one to hand, but I'm sure I can find one for you.
Well, yeah, like you, it's like I usually have one because I always have them up, and I usually have some that are in my head because I just love quotes. But I have if you go on my Pinterest board, there's probably 200 quotes on and I've got two different words for them. But I need to put them in my office too. And I'm on a satellite office today, so that's why I have this lovely blank wall, because it's not normally. But that's the beauty of doing online too. We can work almost anywhere, so that's good too. So I'll hit you up for a good quote maybe later. So and I'll add it to the bottom.
No problem. I'll think of one when I come off the call. I'm bound to have one just go bing.
Well, are there any projects that you're working on right now that maybe you'd like to share with us? That I know you're always working on your magazine. So,
Sure, yeah. I mean, my mum's business site's, just nothing new going along there at the moment, really. It just ticks along. The other, the magazine, I'm always looking at new projects. I will be doing a podcast in the autumn, and I'll be interviewing people and sharing lots of tips and tricks with people as well. And I've got some other things going on, and every quarter I create a Biz Offers magazine, which you were part of last month. So I'll be working on a new one of those for the autumn, for the last quarter, Q4 of this year, which is scary because it's coming around really fast.
It is fast.
July. But for the next couple of weeks, really, I'm just getting ready for my holidays. So I've got issue 11, which I'm working on now, which will come out at the end of the month. And then because I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks, I'm already working on issue 12 as well. So I'm just kind of getting those systems in place ready so that while I'm away, someone can go along and just press publish for me. So that's good. Okay. But lots of things in the pipeline, but nothing official apart from, as I say, we'll be doing the podcast alongside the magazine as well. So. Oh,
that's wonderful. Podcasting is, I know that we've got a couple of online friends that are doing that. And in fact, I've taken a course from her to learn how to podcast, and I think that that'll be a nice little addition to what you already have, and that's great. So, and I'll have all this information in the blog and stuff, so people can come and check out your digital magazine and learn.
Well, I do have an offer for your readers or your listeners and your viewers, and if they'd like to go and check out the magazine, then they can go to businessrocks.co/Darla. DARLA, and they can pick up a 3-month free subscription. And once they've downloaded the app, there are a couple of free magazines on there as well, so they can really have a look and see, learn some new things, because most of the articles are very new, and lots of videos sharing new tips and things. So.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Thank you for putting that up for me, and thank you for letting me be a part of your business, and thank you for being on here for me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm thrilled, Darla. I've really enjoyed it. I absolutely love chatting to you today. So, I'll get you back in the autumn. We'll do a podcast, and I can interview you.
I love it. I already told one of our other dear friends that someday it's on my bucket list to come back to England, because I know you're in the London area. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, I'm in the suburbs of London, so we're not on the tube line, but we're on the main line station. So that's quite good where I am, because I can kind of get into town very quickly. So it'd be lovely if you can make it over here. We'll catch up.
Oh, absolutely. It's on my list, and that's something I actually came over in the late 90s, and late 90s, late 80s. It was probably early 90s, late 80s, like 1990, 19 something. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with it. It's beautiful. And so I it's always been on my mind that I was going to eventually come back over. So I'm coming. Just
excellent. Cool. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for being on the call today. I really appreciate you sharing all your expertise and all your information and knowledge, and I appreciate you coming on with us today.
Okay, thanks, Darla. Bye.
Thanks.